Well, it is another beautiful day here in California. Sun's shining, supposed to be in the 80s here pretty next few days, and then it's going to start raining again. Regretfully, I'm not getting much done on the Jeep today. We had a little bit of a medical emergency around 2 a.m. My wife got her hand tangled in her trach tube and pulled it out. We ended up having to go to the emergency room. So I'm a little tired, but I have gotten a few things done this morning. One thing I did yesterday was after I picked up everything, I found the missing bolt. So now I have all the bolts. Let me show you what I've done. All right, so here's the oil pan, here's the gasket, here's the pan strap, here's an extra rear seal. That's this part right here. As you can see, these have little feet that need to go into the block right at the rear main cap. So you have to put the gasket on first. So what I'm going to do, you have a choice here. You can either cut these, take this part out and insert it into the bearing cap and then just put silicone where you made the cut, or what I'm going to try to attempt is to get these into the bearing cap. I'm going to put a little bit of silicone sealer every few dots. These have the metal rod that runs through it, so, and then I'm going to put a bolt into it, and then hopefully I can get it to stick, and then once it's stuck, pull the bolts out and put the pan up. I did go through all the bolts. As you can see, all of them are nice and shiny. I took the wire wheel to them. So tomorrow when I get on this, that's what we're going to try. If it doesn't work, I'm just going to cut it and do the silicone and then do the gasket to the pan for the rest of it. But that's the plan. All right, so it's been a couple days. Had some stuff to do around the house. Haven't really gotten a chance to get out and do any work. So today I am going to try to get the oil pan gasket up in place. I'm going to go along the edges using a little dab of silicone around the screw hole areas to try to get it to stick and stay. And the way I'm going to do that is once I do get that set with some silicone, I'm going to go ahead and put the bolts in. Just kind of tighten it down finger tight so that it holds up against the block, and then once it sets up a little bit, I can take the bolts back out and the gasket should hopefully stay up there. If it doesn't, then what we'll do is we'll cut off the back section of the gasket, put it up around the main bearing, and then we'll just go ahead and put it on the oil pan and call that good, and just make sure that we put extra silicone in the corner. So I'm going to try it the way I'm thinking first, and if that doesn't work, we'll try it the other way, because you definitely want to get the main bearing rear section into those little spots so that it fills those gaps. So let's try. All right, so what we're trying to do is get the rear seal into that groove and its little feet into those little pockets on each side. So I think a little dab silicone. I'm going to wipe this down one more time. It's still greasy. But other than that, we should be pretty good. Everything else looks good. I'll need to find my little towel I had and dry everything off real good. But I think we should be pretty golden. All right, so I'm gonna wipe off this sheen of oil right here. It's coming from around where the pump was put in. So I'll wipe that down so it's a little bit dry, and then we'll go ahead and see about sticking it. I'll probably go ahead and just, my thought is maybe starting in the middle, leaving the end flexible enough so I can push it in and go that route. Like I said, if it doesn't work, I'll just cut it right where it goes in, and then we'll just load the corners up with silicone. So something else I noticed, and I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. I don't know if that side-to-side play is an indication this motor has a lot of miles on it, or if it's just normal. So if it lasts a while, it lasts a while. If not, these 2.5s are a dime a dozen, easy to find. They're not that hard to swap out. We'll see if it holds together. All right, let's get this gasket thing going. All right, so I haven't put any silicone or anything in there, but what I'm thinking, I've got it in the spot here. You can see I put a couple of bolts in, and it's just basically holding the gasket up towards the body, or towards the block. So what I'm going to do is, if I remove the ones here closest to where I'm working, I can put a little bit of silicone in the groove behind this. That will help hold it. Maybe a little dab in the corner. And then we can just go ahead and put a little silicone in each one of these, and then we just have to snug them down so that they're pushed up against the gasket and the metal washer that's inside there, and just snug enough so that all the holes line up perfectly. Put a bolt in every one, let that tack up, and then we can go ahead and pull the bolts out, put the oil pan up there. I believe that is going to work just fine. You can definitely tell right here, a little silicone is definitely going to want to go in there. Now this one is kind of loose, but yeah, a little silicone, especially at the transition from where it goes from the curve to the flat, will help tremendously. But I think it will, once the pan and everything is in there, set down nice. So I am going to do, I think the easiest way to do it would be to do one side and then the other. So we'll leave the bolts in one side, pull them out on the other, put the silicone in, put everything back, and go from there. I think that's how I'm going to do it. I'll probably put just a little bit of silicone around the arch here. That way this stays up there, just a little here in the corner so it stays nice and tight. And then we'll put the bolts in. And hopefully we won't have to do too much more to put it in, because I don't believe I'm going to put any silicone on the pan side, because this gasket shouldn't need it the way they're designed. And I'm just talking about a little bit of silicone, really just to hold this in place. Once I take the bolts out, it's just going to be enough to hold the thing there. So that side's good, this side's good. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and pull some of these bolts out and get things lined up. I probably won't need to put any around here, because once these others are sort of glued in place, this shouldn't move too much. And there's nothing behind this. This is just rubber in the front side. All right, let's get the silicone set up and see if we can get going. All right, you can see how I did it. Just a little bit, and it's just going to be to make it stick. I'm not trying to seal it, because this gasket should do a really good job of sealing. So we just want it to stick once it tacks up, and just enough. So next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put the bolts in on this side, and then I'm going to go ahead and unbolt the other side. I'm not putting any silicone up here. I'm just using these two bolts to hold the front end, because once this is tacked in, it should be good to go. Okay, so I've got the passenger side done. You don't have to do all of them, you just need enough of them to make them stick. So I did put the two here at the top, because I did put more silicone in the groove here. I did put the big one back here in. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take down the ones on that side and do the same thing. Just kind of go along the edges, just enough to make it stick. And then once that sets up, it should be enough to keep it in place. And we'll just be real gentle when we put we put the pan back in, and it should be golden. But we did get that seated in there nice, and I did put some extra silicone just to make sure that it stayed in place. And then we're gonna get up here and do this other one. All right, and these are just hand tight. They're not squishing the gasket at all. All right, I would tell you that went smoothly. The gasket part went smoothly anyway. But just like the other day when I couldn't find the one bolt, same thing. After I had cleaned the threads up on the wire wheel, I had soaked them in some degreaser, and I had turned them upside down in the towel, and apparently one of them was still stuck in the towel, and I had to go find it. I was about ready to start throwing shit. Alright, so we are going to give that a little while to set up. I do need to find a deep 7/16 for the 4 of these guys. Like I said, there's no silicone up underneath here. This is just being held in place. So I'm hoping that once this tacks up, then I pull these bolts out, that will just stay in place and I won't have to mess around with it. But I have all the bolts in place. This way, as it tacks up, it should keep the gasket in line, so I won't have to fuss around with it while I'm trying to put the pan up. I could just hold the pan, put a couple bolts in, and then do that. So I did get a little squish out there, not too bad. It's actually not where it squished out, it's where my hands were shaking. But yeah, so we'll be back in a little while. I guess I'll go inside. I don't have any internet today because apparently the transformer up the street blew, so I'm working on 5G. Alright, so it seems like it's working. These here are pretty tight. There's a little bit of play right here, but that's fine as long as it sticks enough, and it's clearly sticking enough here. I only have the one bolt back here and the 2 up here, so I'm gonna go ahead and see about getting these 2 out of here. Trying to be gentle so I don't dislodge it. As long as it doesn't fall. And I put more silicone on the other side, so if this side holds, I'm golden on the other side. So far that looks good. Yeah, no, that feels pretty good. No, you do have these 4 bigger ones. They're here, there, and there. All the rest of them are the smaller ones. All right. This one might be a little tighter. Yep, it's tighter. So I'll need a ratchet to get it because it's one of the smaller ones, and that gasket's got a lot more pressure under it. So we're doing good. So what I will do is take this one out and this one out, and if this doesn't fall, then I'll go inside, get the oil pan, bring it out, and see about getting it in, and then I can just tighten everything down and I won't have to worry about it doing nothing. Alright, well, the gasket is staying. It did come loose right here in this corner. But it's stuck everywhere else. I did get a really good seal on that side, so it looks like I have one here that's a little high, but it should be enough. I'm going to go ahead and run inside and grab the oil pan, and hopefully we can get that in without knocking it loose. But if it does come loose, I'll just clean it up, and I will put the silicone back on there, and we'll set it up overnight. I'll just use a little bit more. Alright, so as you can see, the bolts are going in. I've got that side done. I got the 2 in the front in. I've got a few here on this side. I do have the little strap that goes here in the back. I'm going to go ahead and get that on. And then we'll get the last 1, 2, 3, 6 of the small ones, 7 small ones, whatever I got left. I did end up buying a new drain plug. This is the original pan. I just painted it this blue because I happen to have some Pontiac blue, and once I cleaned up the pan, it kind of looked kind of cruddy, and I didn't want to just throw a black one on here because at least this way I can see if I've got leaks. So but yeah, so that worked really well. I like these new gaskets because they do have like a metal liner through them, so they're a little bit more rigid. The old style, the old cork ones that you could just slap on the top or whatever, and they were 4 pieces because you had the front piece, the back piece, and the 2 sides. They always leaked in the corners, so hopefully once I get this all done, right now these are just hand tight. I'm not just kind of putting them in there right now. This way if I have to move the pan around, but it looks like everything lined up pretty good. That was the intention of putting the bolts in and letting that silicone just firm up a little bit. So yeah, that one looks like it might be a little off, but they're moving around pretty good, so not too bad. All right, let me knock this rest out of here, and then I will get my digital torque wrench out and torque those down probably tomorrow. It's already after 6 o'clock. At least it's nice today, but it's supposed to rain here in the next 2 days. So at least I'm getting some headway. So let me finish this up. All right, this is getting to be stupid. So every time I turn around, I'm losing a bolt. I had them all in, then I took them down so I could put the pan up, and I lost the bolt. Well, somehow, this little fuckhead ended up, I guess, in my shirt. It must have, when I took it out, I guess it fell in. I didn't feel it. So I'm looking all over the ground for it. I stand up and I feel it roll down my side and land on the ground. And all I had was just that one left. All right, so they're all just snugged in there. I'm gonna go ahead and get this last one in. Nice thing about using the actual oil pan bolts, because the washer is built on, the socket can actually push that up a little bit so that everything, it doesn't fall into the socket, and you can actually get a good push before you start threading these in. And what I've been doing is backing them out. Once I get a couple in, back them out, make sure they hand tighten smoothly. I did, it might be hard to tell, but I did take all of the bolts to the wire wheel and clean the threads out the best I could. I should have done the same thing with the holes in the block, but yeah, who knows. All right, let me get this last one in. Like I said, then I'm gonna go ahead and make sure they're all just snugged down, and then I will get my digital gauge. I think these are like 15 foot-pounds, I think. I can't remember, but it's not very much. So I'll get my gauge out, or my digital gauge out. I did get the strap back in. See it right there. So I didn't paint it. I just left it raw. So I think it looks all right. All right. All right. So I still need to find a deep socket to tighten up the 4 of these threaded ones, and I still need to put the little bracket that holds this little wire thing. Got the bracket over here in the box somewhere, if I can get it out of the box. So I have this little bracket thing here. It holds that wire up out of the way. Trying to remember how it went in there. It's got that groove, but I think it goes like here. I think that's where it was. So yeah, once I get these all torqued down, then I'll put this back on, and then that just clips up out of the way, holding that little guy. And that'll be perfect. Maybe I should throw like some black paint on that. Oh well, who cares? All right, so that's where we're at right now. So like I said, I'll have to hunt down my gauge and socket, so I'll do that tomorrow. So we're just going to call this quits today. Oh, one thing I did do, and I didn't take a video of it, but you see this tube right here? That is the drain for the vent that's in the middle of your cowling. Now normally it pinches down and it's just pinched so water can leak out. Well, and I have a screen over the cowling, so nothing big gets in there, but a lot of mud gets in there. So this thing was just constantly dripping. So the other day I took a razor blade, cut that little pinch piece off. It was packed from the bottom all the way up the tube with mud. So once I cut it out, I had to get in there and kind of wiggle it around and put a brush up there and pulled all the stuff. So now my cowl's not full of water like it was, so that's nice and clean. So if you've got a constant drip and you don't know why, check that stupid thing. My older Jeep didn't have one of these. My older CJ didn't have it, so I don't even remember if there was a hole in the dash for it. I think this was like an afterthought so that the water just didn't dump into your floorboard all the time. But that's done. So yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure. There's the new radiator. I still can't find my clamps. I'm gonna probably keep looking, and if I can't find them, I'll just buy them again. They were only like $10 for the 4, 6, 8 of them, for the big ones and the little ones. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.